All right, let's get started. First of all, I got to say I'm back. Welcome to my space. I'm Sherry Pluskota, otherwise known as Peaches. I want to thank Donna for co-hosting with me tonight, and welcome to our listeners thus far, John and Karen. And I'm going to do a couple of housekeeping things, and then we'll get underway and welcome our guest, Ronnie Day. First, many thanks to my sponsor, Elevator Results. If you need a tailor made workout plan to help you lose weight or gain weight, Elevator Results can design that plan for you. Follow them on Twitter and check out their site at elevatorresultspt.com. Also, a reminder that you can find the recordings of my past spaces, including our daily WSOP coverage and all the interviews, on my YouTube channel at Sherry Pluskota 9212. My guest tonight is Ronnie Day, and he is from Fairburn, Ohio area. Ronnie has 670K in live earnings, with his best live cash of 200,000 for his bracelet winning first place finish in 2023 in the Tournament of Champions. My guest has one WSOP circuit ring and one WSOP bracelet, has 12 WSOP caches and 37 circuit caches. This past summer, Ronnie had 8 WSOP caches in Vegas. Most recently, my guest played the Moneymaker event and series in Cincinnati, where he took down the tag team event with his partner Tammy Barnes, came in 28th place in the No Limit Kickoff event, and of course, that strong 10th place finish in the main event for just over 10K. So glad you can join us, Ronnie, and allow us to pop your spaces cherry. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm just glad that I was able to get on here and figure it out. I'm not very technologically sound.
Well, the good thing about space is it's very easy to get around in a space. So let me introduce you to a couple of things about spaces. Down at the bottom, of course, is the bottom left is turning your mic on and off. And that little wand next to that button is a sound effects board. And so when you click on that wand, it gives you several different sound effects that you can, you know,
Yeah.
have fun with, right? And then the next one is a little icon of two people, which shows the people in the space and the roles they're playing. And then there's a little heart with a plus, which is where your emojis are that you can send up in the space, showing our guests, our listeners, a little love, thumbs up, a little wave. If it gets too busy, people will start to raise their hand if they have a question. So that's the little heart. And then, of course, you can do a clip. And honestly, I've never even tried to do a clip of part of the space. So I don't even know how that works. But then over in the far right corner is a little emoji thought bubble. And that is where people can write comments. Like Bathwater for Buy-ins has already um, written a comment in that section that we'll get to here shortly. So, just a little walk around a space to get you a little familiar with it. At the top right, of course, if you wanted to leave, you could press the leave button. And there's just some things there. And honestly, I have different things in the top right than you do. So I don't want to confuse anybody by talking about what mine are, and they have something different. So there you go, Ronnie. Welcome to the non-complicated spaces.
All right. All right. Well, thank you. I'll let you tell me when to leave.
Well, we try not to do that. We try to just let you drive that time slot, and you know, whenever you need to, we're more than happy to let you go. And you're more than welcome to stay however long or short you need to. So that's for sure. But I'm going to get us started with some questions. How about that?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So, first of all, how did you start playing poker?
Uh, Actually, been around it my whole life. My parents would have nickel dime quarter games when we were kids, and I remember my grandpa wouldn't. Uh, he refused to play four handed, and I remember I was probably about 7 years old, and uh, table was full of uh, coins and food stamps was 50 cents on a dollar.
Right.
And my grandpa put me in so we would play five handed. My mom came down the stairs and seen me with all the food stamps and stuff in front of me when they already went to bed, and she was pissed at my grandpa. But yeah, but I've always been around it. Of course, I've been around that and shooting pool for most of my life, but there wasn't too much money in pool. But when the poker boom started, I couldn't get enough of watching it on TV, and I said I'm going to learn how to play this game. And first 2 years I sucked really bad at 3-6 limit, and then read a book on Dave Skalansky. That the how the it was a house game that I was running so bad at, and I ran so bad that the house lady actually bought me a book on how to play because
Oh, that was awful sweeter because most people would say, don't tap that glass, right?
yeah, I couldn't win, but she just felt so bad for me that I couldn't win, and she gave me a book. It said, and I realized that the other players weren't they. I realized that they weren't good, but I couldn't understand why I couldn't win. So she gives me this book. It was Dave Sklansky's Advanced Limit Hold'em,
I love it.
and there was one chapter in there that said how to play low limit versus loose players. And I read that chapter every single day before I went and played, and I went from a player that couldn't win to a player that couldn't lose.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
So,
Good
but
for
then,
you.
yeah, then a couple years later, No Limit popped up, and I was pretty much unnatural at No Limit Cash.
So, do you play much cash nowadays, or do you mainly focus on tournaments?
No, I focus mainly on tournaments now. It was a funny story because I didn't play any tournaments. I didn't play any tournaments from, we used to play $20 tournaments in the pool hall,
Right.
and I didn't play any tournaments from 2005 to 2018.
That's a
And
long time.
yeah, well, I just thought, hey, this screws up the hourly rate. It's not worth it, because you could play a tournament all day and not make a
Right.
single dime.
100%.
And so what happened was I was walking out of my house, and I had my two fishing poles in my hand, and my buddy called me and he said, "Hey, this guy's over here. We had a local poker club uh, that called Ruggles." He said, "This guy's over here. And he owed me 200. He owed me $260, and I haven't seen him in a while." I said, "Well, put my fishing poles down and went over there, and I said, I'm going to get that $260." Well, when I show up there, they're running a satellite for the main event. It was a $560 buy-in. Well, I go over there, and I play cash there regularly, and I go over there, and I didn't want to ask him. He was in the tournament, but I said I didn't want to ask him. I said I'll just jump in this tournament and wait till talk to him later.
Right.
So I jump in, and everybody calls me JR around here. And he said, "JR, you don't play tournaments." I said, "Well, I'm not going to win it. I'm just going here to crush as many of your guys' dreams before I get knocked out." Just joking around because they knew me as this maniac cash player. So sure enough, I get in it and I win the seat.
I love it. I
Okay,
love it.
so
Oh,
so now I'm selling the seat because I have zero attention. I was like, oh, the main event, that's a lottery ticket. That's for dreamers, right?
Right.
So I was like, I'm trying to sell the seat for 9,000. And I talked to a buddy of mine, and he says, "Well, Jr., this is a once in a lifetime." He said, "You should go play it." I said, that's a waste of good money.
ten
And I
thousand
said,
dollars is a lot of money. Let's
yeah.
face it.
And
Right.
I said, I'll waste it. Yeah, especially when you're grinding low limit cash games.
Right. Absolutely.
And I get anyways, we had a home game that we played on Wednesday, and I was talking to him on Tuesday night. Well, I don't go to the home game on Wednesday, and and I find out that he was taking side bets after encouraging me to play it. He was taking side bets that I wouldn't make it through day one.
Oh hell no.
Yeah, so it was a big joke. So
That's
I
a
get
good motivator though, isn't it?
yeah, I was like, I call him up. I said, "All right, buddy, I heard." I said, "You know what? I'm going to play it, and you're going to lose your side bets."
I love it. I would have
So
done the same thing. That would have just lit my fire.
yeah, so I get out there, and of course, I went all these years not watching any poker on TV because I had no interest in tournaments.
Right.
And so I knew the old guys from like 2003 to 2005 that was on TV, your Phil Ivies, your Negreanu's, all those people. But I
Right.
didn't know all the young wizards, that came up. And I go there and I play the first day, which is probably not the best day to play because I think that's more pro heavy than it is any other day. And this was at the Rio, and they still had the 25 chips or whatever.
Right.
And I remember the guy next to me complaining about how good everybody was at the table. Well, I was really card dead the first 2 hours, and I'm glad I was because people kept opening up, 2.2. And back when I remember playing in the pool halls, everything was 4X pre-flop,
Right.
you know. So that part changed. So I sit there, I spent like the first 2 hours not playing any hands and just kind of watching everybody, you
You were
know.
learning.
I was learning, you know. And so, anyways, it comes to every time I entered a pot, I would raise and then I would get three bet. I say, I can't beat nobody at this table. And I said, I just kept three opening and folding, opening and folding. My chip stack kept dwindling away. And I seen this ball guy, and he was sitting in the four hole and he was having a rough day too. He was losing. And I said, well, I'm just going to, anytime this guy enters the pot, I'm just going to raise him because this guy sucks, you know? So I'm sitting there thinking this. I was like, this is the only guy I could ever possibly beat. So he would raise and I would three bet. I would have 9-3 suited, whatever it was, and it kept me afloat for the day. And I double up on the final hand of the day.
Yes.
I final double up on the final hand of the day on a hero call with a king on the river and made it through, the first day. And that's all I really wanted to do. That's all I really expected out of it. Anyways, um, long story short, so this ball guy, they come over and they take a picture of him. And I said, oh, cool. If they're taking a picture of this guy, they're going to take a picture of me. You know, I said, everybody's taking their
Right.
picture. Everybody's getting their
Right.
picture taken. Well, I'll go forward, then I'll come back. So I get back. And I made it to day 4, and I was on ESPN on that one, 2018.
Oh, I was going to bring that up here in a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay. So, but I'll go forward and I'll come back.
Okay.
And so, anyways, when I come back from the series, all of a sudden I'm local legend. We're small town in Ohio.
Of
So
course.
I come
And you're
back
going
local
to day
legend.
4.
Yeah, and I managed to get some bluffs through versus Phil Ivey on national television.
Love it.
So so this is kind of like, oh, this is Phil Ivey, which is the greatest, and he's the goat, and that's it. Anyways, I come back local legend, and I'm walking into the club with my buddy, who knows all the poker players. And that ball guy was up on TV. And I said, Caleb, I said, that's the guy. And he says, who? Stephen Chidwick? I said, yeah, that guy sucks. he says, he says, yeah, he's probably the best player in the world. I was like, I was literally avoiding everybody at the table except for Stephen Chidwick. You
I
know,
love, that's an amazing story.
so yeah, I'm the biggest sucker ever.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, Phil Ivey, Chadwick. Yeah, just a couple of, just a couple of guys at a poker table.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Well, since you brought it up, let's continue on. So, um, flashback to 2018 WSOP main event. You're at the on the live poker go table along with Phil Ivey, and you have the 10 and 8 of clubs. You remember this hand?
Yeah, I'll never forget that hand.
I would think you would. Do you want to take it from there?
Okay, so Brian Altman's in the hand, and I can't remember the other guy's name. I want to say his name was Rude or something.
It was rude. Yep.
So he opened. I want to say.
Okay.
And
Everybody
I'm
check.
a little bit fuzzy on openings, but he opens and Ivy calls, and someone else calls, and Altman calls on the button, and I call from the small blind with 10-8 of clubs, and
Yep.
um,
Yep.
anyways, I find out later Rude said he had aces in hand, even though one of the aces was not showing. So, anyways, he bets. I flop two pair, 10-8-3 with two spades. And,
You
excuse
check.
me,
You check.
I check. And, of course, Rude bets his aces. And Altman calls. He's got queen 10 of spades. And I go for the shove. I said, this is a great spot to take it down. This pot's already huge. I don't see where I can raise fold off of this. Let's just deny him equity. Of course,
Yep.
I wasn't that advanced then. So I was thinking, well, hell, I got the best hand. Let's just get it in.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I thought about it then. Uh, but anyways, Altman calls, and I end up
Wait. Do you
uh,
remember what the turn was?
okay. Here's why I didn't remember what the turn was.
I'll tell you what the turn was.
The turn was a deuce of spades,
Yes.
but and the river was at 8. But there was a
Yes.
little side story to that.
Okay.
When I won the satellite to go to the main event, the very last hand um, of the satellite to win the seat, I said, I only need. I said, we're all in. I had tens. I think he had king queen, and I said, this is not even worth stressing. I said, I'm not even going to look at it. So I put my head down, and I ended up winning it. So when I played in the 2018 main event, you know, every time I was all in, and I was all in a lot. Every time I was all in, I put my head down and didn't watch. I just listened to how everybody responded.
Well, you had earplugs in, so I was like, okay, he's
Yeah.
got his head down, but he's got earplugs,
Yeah.
earbuds in.
That specific one, I sit there and I had my head down and I was sit there. I was like, it's got to be over now because, they put the cards out slower,
Right.
when you're on TV.
Right.
I said, it's got to be over now, don't it? It has to be over by now, And then I look up and I don't even see where he hit the spade, but I did see the 8 on the river. And I knew I won.
Right. So, just so we could catch up the audience, so the opponent caught the flush on the turn,
Yeah.
and Ronnie got the boat on the river by getting that 8 on the river to double up.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, and my opponent was Brian Altman, who is he's a crusher. He's just really, really good.
Now, tell us how that tournament how you finished in that tournament.
Okay, so after I come off the um after I come off the feature table, we go to dinner break, and I'm standing behind Brian. Brian busts his Ivy on the last hand of dinner break. And I stood there
Oh,
and I watched it. And we go to dinner break, and me not knowing any better, I just think I'm coming back to the feature table after dinner. Well, I come back and they said, "Yeah, you're not here anymore. You go over there." So I go to my new table, and of course I still got Brian to my right, and I sit down, and there was, and I was really inflating every pot. I mean, just just getting it in, and um, just almost like a suicide style of play.
right. Just real
And
aggressive.
yes, and I remember because I lost two huge pots. That one put me up over 1 million chips, in day four, and we're at the back end of day four,
Nice.
and and here's me not having a clue what I'm doing, just a wrecking ball out there, you know, and I get over there, and the button raises, and he had about maybe half my stack, and I had queen 10 of diamonds in the big blind. And I call, and the flop comes ace jack nine with two diamonds.
Oh, wow.
I check, he bets. I don't even go for a small raise. I just put him all in, and at this time it was, there's no way I would raise that big at this point. But anyways, he has ace king, he calls, he holds. So there
Wow.
goes half my stack, and then I moved to another table, and of course, I got everybody back home text me, and they said, "Oh, I'm flying out, whatever." Um, and I told him, I said, "Well, you better just hold on to that. Hold on to that." I thought we're going into the last level. So we're in the last level, and I come back from break, and I have Ace of Hearts, King of Clubs, and a guy, and I haven't seen this the whole tournament at this point. And I'm at this new table, and a guy limps under the gun, and like six people limp. Now, me being the maniac I was, I already made up my mind. I was raising this up from the small blind, no matter what, no matter what I had.
Right.
And I look down, and I have Ace of Hearts, King of Diamonds. So even better. Now I got a hand I can actually do it with. And I raised, and the big blind ended up shoving all in, and she had pocket tens, and the flop was 2, 3, 4, all hearts, and I break out. So coming back from the final break, now I'm down to maybe 14, yeah, 14 bigs or something like that. I pick up pocket
Right.
four a couple of hands later. I shove. Big blind has ace king, flops ace king, gone. So,
What a
but
great run, though.
do what?
I said, what a great run, though. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, I mean, nobody expected it, and I didn't expect it. I was trying to get through day one. I was going to
right.
get through. I was going to get through day one, and then that was going to be my tournament career. You know, but when I came back, after being on TV, and then them writing up, Poker News writing up a really good article on a hand with me and Phil Ivey, because to me, Phil Ivey is, he was just the best of the best.
Of course.
And they write up this article on me, just put me in this bright light. And at the time, cash games are just such a slow grind. There,
Right.
there is no, there is no attention to them, I guess. And
They
it's
get
not so much
boring.
I wanted to play for glory, but I was burned out. I was burned out, showing up every day, playing the same stuff, get the same people. I was burned out.
So you
And
consider that main event run kind of a turning point for you then?
yeah, it definitely it changed. It brought me back as far as wanting to play and wanting to learn and wanting to get better. Because I was just, I was stale. I was, I was just so fried on looking down at two cards. Um, but the strategy in everything I didn't know about it drove me to wanting to play more tournaments, because before
Right.
that, when I'm just playing cash, I'm sitting there like, player's a player. You guys want to play your lottery ticket? Play your lottery ticket. I have no interest. Then
Right.
I realized how much skill was actually involved in tournaments. And I said, you know what? I want to be able to play both, you know.
Well, and I get that because in 2022, I totally stopped playing cash so I could focus on my tournament play. And so I totally get that you just at some point when you start to want to play more tournaments, you feel the need to just focus on them and not have cash as a distraction to that process. So at least that's what it was for me. Do you play? I know you like to play PLO. What other variations of poker do you like to play?
Actually, I don't like to play PLO at it at all.
Wait a
uh,
minute. Didn't I just
I
read that you just bagged at the 100K guarantee at Mad River? And when is
yeah,
that day two?
yeah. It's look, that's all smoke and mirrors. I'm not good at PLO. So the last, I've got three PLO trophies now, and I have no clue how I won any of them. You
I love
know, but
I love it so much.
yeah,
So, okay,
yeah.
let's just say when is day two of this PLO tournament you're currently in?
It's Sunday down at Mad River, which is
Okay,
yeah, it's my local poker club that I'm
love
20
it.
minutes away from, and
And how
you
much
know,
did you put in your bag?
485 on. But I had so we ended at 15K big blind. I don't know how many bigs I'll have coming back, but I'll at least have 30ish.
Nice. That's
So
awesome. So good luck with that. We definitely will wish some spaces run good for
Mhm.
you. Let's show them some hearts, people.
Trust me, I
Some
need it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? We all want to be lucky on that felt, don't we?
Well,
I want to introduce you to my co-host Donna and to John, who is also a speaker that I believe you know in real life from playing with them. So, Donna, I'm going to let you go first, and if you have any questions for Ronnie, I'll give you a chance to do so now. Oh, Donna, are you there? Donna is in the UK, so she may have dozed off. So we'll see if can't get her back with us. But John Robertson, go ahead, bud.
What's up, Ronnie? How you doing?
not too bad, buddy. How you doing?
Good. We've played together a few times. I mean, we're not like close to Sherry. I don't think that he would be able to pick me out of a crowd, but like we've played together at Hard Rock Cincinnati several times.
Yeah, I've seen you. I've seen you on Twitter. You're a great dad. Uh,
Yes, yes.
Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. That probably means more to me than my poker skill. But no, I was telling him the other night we were in a space, and one of the things that I've noticed that I want to like, it's not really a question, it's more of a comment. I really appreciate your focus and your demeanor at the table, like your business. And like when you did your World Series of Poker final table, I watched watched that, and I really think that I wish more people had a friendly but business attitude at the table. It's one of my favorite things about playing with you. I just wanted to tell you that.
oh, thank you. I generally don't do a lot of talking at the table. I try to put my headphones in because I think I get distracted and I play worse. But the cash game side of me wants to sit there and bullshit sometimes. So in tournaments, I generally don't like to play. But the funny thing about the final table and is I played with those guys for a couple days, and it was almost kind of like we were all. It was almost like we buddied up, and over the course of the tournament. And once the cards get dealt, this is what I tell people. At at one point, I just forgot that there was even cameras on us. You know, and it looks like, and I was there once before, so I think that helped too with the bigger rails. I felt comfortable in the situation, and knowing the guys and already playing with them over the last few days, I just I kind of felt like it was just another tournament. I kept forgetting that the cameras was even on us. So
That's
I was,
probably a good thing.
yeah, I was pretty relaxed on the TV. Yeah, I got distracted and um, let me see how I would say it. Yeah, I remember saying a couple things when I went back because I didn't get to watch it till after the series, till after I
Right.
came back from the series, and I remember I was like, "Oh, why would I say that?" It's just like I'm sitting there just talking to Gregory, and like, oh
You
my
forgot.
God, yeah, I forgot. There's 100,000 people watching. You know,
Well, you know what? You're just being yourself. There's nothing wrong with that either, Ronnie.
no, no,
John, did you have any other questions?
I didn't really prepare for this one because I wasn't
That's
sure if I
okay.
was going to be here, but I am really happy you're here. To comment on what you're saying, I think that a lot of people don't realize that, the way you do make buddies with people in a big tournament does affect how the play happens at the end. Because, I mean, people's memories of how you've acted so far is going to matter. So if you can, like, make good friends with the chip leaders, sometimes that can help out.
I agree.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have any routine or ritual you go through, the few hours prior to a poker tournament, Ronnie?
No, I don't, and I think I think it might just be I'm a little bit older than most people, so I'm not doing the yoga. I'm not doing you know I'm not out there stretching unless I'm hurting. you know. So
Look,
yeah,
on
I
behalf
always say
of
I'm 45. I look like I'm 30, and my back is 60. So
well, on behalf of old and young players, we love that you don't do yoga. So
yeah.
there's that.
Well, when you're growing up, you see Rounders and you see Maverick and you see this stuff on TV. You watch Doc Holliday and Tombstone. You're always thinking, "Hey, this is Wild Wild West out here." Even in early 2000s, that's kind of the way they made it sound like. And then you get there and you're in person and you're deep in a tournament. Next thing you know, there's a guy with a scarf and pink yoga bands doing stretches. You know, you're like, this can't be real.
This is not real life right now.
Yeah.
Listen, I've got a
Oh,
couple of housekeeping things. I want to give a little reminder. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Ladies, don't forget to get your boobs squished. Gentlemen, remind your ladies to go for their mammograms. Also, the Tropicana is scheduled to implode on October 9th at 2 a.m. Yeah, 2 a.m. They're going to have fireworks, some kind of drone show. It's supposed to be really a big production. So I'm going to welcome Karen to the speaker panel. Did you have any questions or comments for Ronnie?
Hey Ronnie, how's it going?
Not too bad, Karen. How are you?
Good. I was happy to see that you were going to be Sherry's guest. So I know Ronnie just a little bit. Um, we play. I don't know if you remember, Ronnie. We played in Vegas right after you won the Tournament of Champions,
Yeah,
and that's where I met you. It was you. Dale was at our Dale Rosal and
yeah,
Corey Paggio. So you were chatty that night because it was like this 400. I think it was a bracelet. I mean, it was like one of those 400 buy-ins, that they have every day in the series at 4 o'clock.
One of the
yeah,
deep stacks, maybe?
yeah. It was a daily. I think I busted out something else earlier that day, and I came to that table, and I know Dale pretty well, and me and him was jawing a little bit. And I remember, if I remember right, Karen, you were sitting in the six hole, of that table.
Man, what a good memory you have. No wonder
Mhm.
you're so good at poker.
No. Look, I
Jeez,
can
I'm
remember
not
every
bad.
hand I ever played, but I can't remember where I parked my car. You know?
You were sitting you might have been in the nine seat, but I'm not positive. Eight
No,
or
I was
nine.
I was actually in the seven hole.
Oh, okay. I
I
suck.
was in I was in seven hole. So you might have, yeah, you were actually in the four, not the six. I was in
Oh,
the
four.
seven. So yeah,
Oh, so
there
I
goes
had
your
the
memory,
relative.
Terry.
I had the relative position right then. Yeah, that was a good table. That was nice to meet you there. And then just for the audience, Ronnie's always so friendly. And when I saw you recently, Ronnie, at Cherokee, and I didn't recognize you because you had your baseball cap on, and I was sitting over by the creek. And then you said, "Are you Karen?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." So,
Yeah,
uh,
I always try to be, like I said, you got me on a Gabby day, and and generally I don't talk. at the table. And so when I'm on my breaks and stuff, and especially people I see over and over again, I'll try to say hi to them, or compliment them on a hand that they played or something, kind of leave my social side of me to the breaks, you know.
Yeah, no, yeah, and I always follow always go and look and see how you're doing on Twitter or X because you're a crusher. And I do appreciate how I remember you complimented me on my queens, my queens hand. And I remember I said, well, it's kind of hard to misplay queens. So I appreciate that. Do you play any mixed games?
Not very
Other than
often.
polo?
I'll play. I think I'm like the majority of the community. It's like, look, I know the rules to most of them. You know, probably the least at Raz. But I think once the cards are dealt, it's it takes 5 minutes to learn, lifetime to master kind of deal. So, but once the cards are dealt, I feel like I can play a little bit at every game.
Look, Jen Harmon can walk in, take a 5-minute lesson in the parking lot from somebody and come in and win a bracelet in an event. I'm sure you can
And
probably do the same thing.
yeah, yeah. Don't put me in Jennifer Harmon's category.
Come on now.
No, she's a crusher.
Well,
She,
if you're not there yet, and you're on the doorstep, because everything I read and when I see your Twitter feed, I'm like, he's killing it. You're like killing it on the felt, and it's awesome to see your successes for sure.
yeah, you're gonna just have to scale it back a little bit. I'm gonna have to get my head through the door.
That's okay. That's what we're here for. We're here to pump you up. If you remember the old Saturday Night Live,
Yeah, I
don't
do
show
remember
my
that.
age. We're here to pump
Yeah.
you up.
I do have a question, Sherry, that I think would be interesting for a lot of people. Since most people play in Vegas or in like bigger areas, and we play Midwest, what kind of things would you tell people are different about playing in the Midwest versus like what can they expect when they come here? Because I haven't been to Mad River or any of the local clubs because I just I was in a club that got raided in 2008, so it makes me nervous. But
Yeah.
but like I love Hard Rock at Cincinnati, but they are big PLO people. So what would you say about Midwest poker versus the California and Las Vegas scene?
Well, there's just more money out there, right? I mean, there's more money and more accomplished players, and more money in California. I'm going to just say California is probably more money, more aggressive. As far as Vegas, you got your best players are going to be in Vegas, Florida, the ones that are doing it for a living every single day and grinding it out because no state tax. They need every penny they can get, right? So they're going to grind in those areas, Texas, Vegas, and Florida. And, that's where they're going to have something to play every single day. Now, I think as a whole, I think the Midwest, and I'm going to catch a lot of hell for it, but I think the Midwest is softer. I think we're as a community we're top heavy. We got some crushers, and we got some really good players. But I think as far as like the community, I think uh, the actions softer. You're gonna win at a higher percentage if you're playing cash games, and uh, I think it's going to be a little bit easier.
I think you guys in Ohio have a great location. You too, John, in Indy, or that area. You guys have Cincinnati, Dayton. You guys have Cleveland. You can go up to Firekeepers. You can go to Hammond, Indiana. I mean, you can go to Harris, Cherokee. You guys have a lot of options into Pennsylvania with, Live in Pennsylvania and the other ones around there. So you guys have a lot of options, but of
We're-
course I'm jealous because I live in Georgia and we have no options.
Yeah, you're below the religious belt. Yeah, so we don't have this. We've just recently gotten these options around here not too long ago, and I remember having to drive to the Argosy. It was Argosy then in Indiana.
Right.
And
That place used to be so good, and then
yeah,
they killed it. Like when it was the
yeah,
basement room was awesome.
yeah. They did all their players wrong when the other Ohio casinos shut down. You know, when they switched over, they did all the players wrong. Did away with all their credits and comps and everything, and it really soured all the Ohio players
Well, rightfully
on going
so.
there. Yes, oh, they did everybody wrong.
Yeah,
But
that's unfortunate.
I generally didn't play at the Argosy very much because I would have had to drive past 7 home games to get there. You know,
Right.
so yeah, I pretty much stayed local, and back in the early 2000s, those home games was getting hit left and right, and um, yeah, it was not. It was almost like it was a matter of time before one of them got robbed. And I was very fortunate to not be around and on those given nights. You know,
Right on.
uh,
Here in Georgia, allegedly we have home games,
yeah,
allegedly.
yeah,
So, that's sort of in our love language down here. But anyway, moving right along, because that's just allegedly. In 2023, you won your first circuit ring and your first WSOP bracelet. Without that ring, you could not have won that bracelet. So let's break it down for a minute. You won the Monster Stack at the WSOP Circuit Stop in Southern Indiana. It was a $400 buy-in. You want to tell us anything about going into that final table?
yeah. So it was funny because a good friend of mine, he actually has five rings. Kurt Jewell was at the final table. We were down to the final three, and Kurt had 70% of the chips in play,
Wow.
three handed, and he's got 5 rings. And
Wow.
and he's just he could when he's got chips, he's going to take over. He don't mind calling down light.
Right.
And the other guy is a really good friend of mine, Johnny Moe. And
Weren't you lucky?
yeah, and so uh, there's plenty of who wants it kind of going for it, right?
Right.
So and Johnny Moe ends up trapping Kurt with queens and gets a full double. Then I get a double through Kurt, and then I knock out Kurt. And next thing you know, we're heads up, for the ring. Me and Johnny is, and Johnny said, "Well, Jr., let's just chop this." Well, people people around here know I don't chop.
Oh, team no chop. Okay.
Yeah, I'm notoriously for not chopping. And he says, "Well, let's just chop it and let's put the ring on red or black." I said, "Johnny," I said, "I'm
Wow.
not going to have my first ring on a roulette table. I'm not putting it on red or black."
Good for
You know.
you.
So we agreed to play it out, and I get pocket eights versus pocket sevens and take him out. And anyways, I look it back. It's like, hey, if I put that ring on red or black, I probably, I'm probably don't win the bracelet. You know, so no
Do you
chopping work.
remember what was the winning hand for you?
It was pocket eights versus pocket sevens.
Oh wow. Did
Yeah.
anything hit the board?
Uh, no, neither hit the board. Um, but yeah, it was. I remember it was pocket eights. I was wearing him down. I have a little bit more heads up experience than Johnny, and I knew he was going to get it in soon, but because I knew he was going to up the variance on me, and I was surprised he had sevens, but we get eights in versus sevens, and we hold, and I took as many pictures with him as I did with the actual camera guy. So
Oh, that's
he,
awesome.
he was happy for me, and then he kept visiting my rail during the bracelet, so.
I love it. So, as I alluded, you needed to win that ring in order to win that bracelet that year. And so, for those that may not be familiar, by winning the ring, you earned a berth into the Tournament of Champions. So, let's talk about that experience for a moment. Any moments besides that? We'll get to the last hand in a minute. But any moments during that tournament that kind of stick out in your mind?
Well, yeah, there was several things. I remember a guy could have knocked me out had he played the hand right. He wouldn't have knocked me out, but he would have crippled me uh, the second day. And what happened was we had this guy that raised under the gun, and he raised under the gun several times. And this was three hands in a row. He raised under the gun. Well, I had four really short stacks that were down somewhere between 10 and 15 big blinds behind me. And I flatted ace king of diamonds, thinking one of these short stacks have to go. If not, I'll just play this guy in position.
Right.
But I think one of these short stacks will shove all in. He might try to ISO, and then I'll be able to get it all in. Right?
Right on. Get them chipsies
Yeah.
and get everybody's
So
chips in.
I had this all planned out. And then the big blind checks his option. Now that was key. That was key that he checks his option because he's got 11 big blinds.
Right.
And the flop comes out, two diamonds, and it goes check, check. And I said, my hand's good. It's not good enough to get it in. We'll see if we can go ahead and take it down on the turn. Well, anyways, the turn paired the board and goes check, check. And I go ahead and uh, bet small on the turn. And the board was like 7-3-6. So I'm thinking the big blind's all over this.
Right.
And the big blind calls, and the original raiser calls. I said, well, I'm not winning this without a diamond, you know. So the river comes, I break, and it goes check, check, check. Well, the big blind had pocket kings.
Oh.
And he ends up winning the hand. But
What the hell?
if he shoves, he has 11 big blinds. If he shoves pre, and
God.
I'm sure he's thought of this. I don't know who it was, but I'm sure he's thought of this over and over again. But yeah, if he shoves pre, I think I would have had that would have put me sub 15 big blinds if he shoves
Right.
pre. And who knows what happens then. But key hand at the final table, and I always told everybody this. So the night before, I had a tell on the guy, and I won't say his specific name. If you've seen it, you'll know. But I had a tell on the guy the night before of when he was bluffing, and when they came over and they said, "We're playing down at the final 7." Now he had a little table beside him, and it was something that he did. Well, he would always reach for the. I'll just tell you what he did because they'll probably never run into it again. So he had this Coke on his table. And I noticed the night before when he bluffed really big, he would reach over and grab that Coke real quick and take a drink. And they come over and the floor tells us, hey, we're going to go, you guys are going to be on stream tomorrow, 7-handed. I said, no, I would like to finish it out tonight because I didn't want to go on TV because I didn't know if he would have that table beside him.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. Absolutely.
So we end up, and he was just running over the table. He's a really good player. He was the player I didn't want to play heads up because he's really aggressive. And we get to, but he's constantly drinking something, you know. Now when he's got it in his hand, it means nothing, you know. So because he's drinking like every street, he's taking a drink of tea or Coke or whatever every street. You know, so it was this table deal that I saw him get called into a bluff, and then it got confirmed later. And then so I didn't want to go to stream. So we go to final table, we go to stream anyways. He's got a table beside him. Okay, that's great. We get to the point, I'm small blind versus big blind, and I got pocket nines. And the flop is 7-3-6. Now, this would be normal. I think a good check raise spot is against somebody this aggressive would be probably the ideal play. But I also knew he would float me light. And we battled enough over a couple days that he was going to call me down with a 6, a 7, and I didn't want to lose him.
Right.
Okay. So the flop is 763. Okay. And so I decided to go ahead and bet it, bet it small. And he calls. Well, the turn card comes, it's a 4. So now there's a 4-liner on the board.
Right.
And I check. And he bets big. And he reached for that Coke. And I said, I got him. I already knew, and I took a minute, because I knew I was calling all rivers.
Right.
So I took a minute to make him think that I wouldn't have a 5 in this situation. And I could fold to a shove on the river. So I took my time and then I just called. Well, the river was a 9, which gave me trits, but that was irrelevant, because he's only jamming a 5 here, right?
Right.
So I check. He jams. I snap call. He says, "You got a 5?" I said, "No." I turned over my hand and he had king 8. But that was the whole turning point at the final table.
That's amazing.
And it was just, shit luck. It was me trusting my read in that situation and be willing to go broke and look stupid.
Well, I'm going to say I disagree that it was shit luck. It was you being very observant and practicing your craft, and being observant and picking up a tell is part of your craft. So I don't think it was luck at all. I think you did what you're supposed to do, and it was awesome. It paid off.
Yeah, it was a key moment. I felt like I earned it because of that hand. I thought, I felt like I earned the bracelet specifically because of that hand. And I always tell
Right.
everybody, so I'm not as smart as most people, so I got to keep my head up and look for things because that's where I'm going to kind of make up, to make myself more competitive.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So let's talk about you being heads up with Brent Gregory. And you want to walk us through that tournament winning hand?
Yeah. So Brent limps button, and at this point, he's made his way back a little bit against me. He's he's getting a little bit better run of cards than me. I was trying to keep the pots reasonable
Right.
because at the time I felt like I had an edge on him because I think I generally have more heads up experience than most people that I don't know personally.
Right.
You know.
Sure.
And so I felt comfortable playing heads up. I played heads up quite a bit and in cash games and stuff like that. So I felt like I was fine playing heads up. I had a plan against him heads up because he wasn't super aggressive towards me through the couple days that we was playing. Well, he limps button, so I didn't think he was limping strong. And I had Jack 5 offsuit, which is just trash, right?
A little Motown.
Yeah, yeah. So I ended up raising it up. I think it was 775,000. I actually think I was told that I probably should have went a little bigger, maybe to 900,000. But 775,000 at the time seemed like big enough to get the job done. I just want him to fold.
Right. Right.
And the flop comes ace 5-4. And so, well, this is great because I got all the aces and I'm going to be able to push him off a ton of turns. And I have the jack of spades in my hand, so I'm not worried about a whole lot of flushes coming in.
Okay.
So I down bet the flop to kind of keep him in, just get that extra bet out of him. And he calls. Well, the turn, and I'm screaming in my head. 5 of clubs, 5 of clubs, 5 of clubs. And sure enough, I mean, it was just like I called it down from the heavens, 5 of clubs on the turn, because I knew he would never believe me if I had the 5 of clubs.
Now look, that's lucky as shit right there. If you want to
Yeah,
talk about some lucky shit.
yeah.
I
And
love it.
I wanted to put him in a decision for a stack on the turn with his marginal aces that he didn't know whether it was good or not. So I bet 1.3 million at the time. Uh, he had a few chips in his hand, and when I glanced over there, I didn't account for those because he could have just called.
Right.
Um, but when I glanced over there, I just didn't want to stare at a stack because I want him sitting there thinking I'm staring at a stack, and I'm going for pure value off of this. So I just glanced down at the stack, and I said, "Yeah, 1.3 million should put a hand like Ace 3, something like an ace with a wheel draw, or maybe even like a Ace 8, Ace 9.
Sure.
It'll put him in a decision to where he's never put me on a 5, and he's going to put it all in, or he's going to fold. And
Right.
the pot's already inflated. So I didn't mind taking it down right there. He does still have some spade combination, especially smaller suited kind, like 6, 7 of spades, stuff like that. But I felt like that was a good spot. If I bet 1.3 million, he was going to put it in, or he's going to let it go. And when he put his head down, and on the clip, it made it seem like really fast, right?
Right.
On the way it was in real life, this went on. He took a good minute to minute and a half.
Oh, it doesn't seem like that at all on the tape. So they must have
Yeah,
edited it or something.
and it wasn't. And when I was looking at him, it was more. It wasn't so much. It didn't feel like strength as it felt like indecision. So when he said all in, I beat him into the pot.
Yeah, you did. I was like,
Okay.
Ronnie was it ready? Yep.
Yeah. So there was no part of me that said he had 2-3. I didn't feel that at all.
Right.
And when he turned over, he had a 5. I mean, obviously getting the case 5 in that situation, I was shocked he had a 5.
Right.
But I thought I had him. Once he said all in, I thought he was just dead to an ace. You know, or he has some kind of stick 7 suited draw. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so
And for the audience, he had 6-5 offsuit, 5-6 offsuit.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. Then I think I'm 60. I'm still not even a huge favorite to win the hand, but it's hard for me to lose a hand. There's a lot of chop outs. You get an ace or 4. You know, you can hit a 6. So it's not like I'm out of the woods. But 3 comes on the river, which had it played slower, that's a pretty dicey card.
Right.
It's going to kill off a lot of the action on the river. You
Right
know,
on.
that there might still be value in there. I'm probably still going to go for value, but it's not over. That way. So
Hell of a
I-
hand. Hell
I'm
of a
glad I used my turn sizing, and it had I took a passive route pre-flop and limped it for some reason or checked back, um, it wouldn't have went down. So I inflated that pot perfectly to get us there. So,
well
but yeah,
during that hand, the booth kept calling you grandfather. Had you just become a grandfather? Is that a nickname, or why were they calling you grandfather?
okay. So Will Jaffe coined that nickname, and I just had a 3 month. My granddaughter is 3 months old.
Oh, awesome.
So and yeah, when I told David Tuckman, he couldn't believe it because he thought I was my late 20s, early 30s. He said, "How the hell are you a grandfather?"
Only people
And,
from Alabama are grandfathers by 30. So uh,
yeah,
there's that.
yeah, it's normal, huh? Yeah, I got started young. Yeah, and
And my Alabama fans know that, or friends, not fans, friends know that I'm joking when I have those Alabama jokes like that. They know I love them. And, they just always say, you must be from Georgia if. So we have to say, you must be from Alabama if. Karen, go ahead, love.
Oh, well, never mind. You kind of answered my question. I thought for a minute Ronnie was from Alabama.
He's from Ohio.
Okay, that's what well, I know he lives there now, but I couldn't. I just didn't realize you're just beat. See, Alabamians beat up on Mississippians,
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's
that's true.
that
I
kind
have
of
heard
thing.
that. We all just have fun with each other, don't we, Karen?
Totally.
All right. I'm going to give you a little bit of background before I read this comment in our comment sections. Otherwise, you'll never get it, Ronnie. Do you know who Ash Kardashian is by any chance?
Yes.
Okay, so she is a friend of Spaces, and I did a interview with I think Donna and Todd and some other folks helped me interview her, um, and so during that interview, I said something about her. Oh, she was talking about getting, crazy DMs from people, and some of them are, people want, feet, pictures of her feet.
Oh yeah,
Some
I'm
of-
sure she gets all that.
yeah, exactly. And somebody asked her for her bath water. And so I made a real flippant remark about, oh my gosh, you should do bathwater for buy-ins. So down in the what we call the goo here in Spaces, the listening section of our space, you will see an account down there and it's bathwater for buy-ins. And so that account was born from that space. And he or she, because we don't know, wink, wink, who it is, wrote the following comment in the comment section of the space. Has Ronnie ever had to sell anything like a car or peaches or tools or even bathwater to come up with tournament buy ins? Or more simply put, does he sell pieces of his tournaments or tourneys?
Um, Actually, I don't do. I mean, I've sold small pieces, never more than 10%, and it'd be to buddies like that. But I mean, I pretty much straightened myself out on the cash games, So I was already older. I didn't have to come up with. I didn't have to come up with the money
Right,
for
right,
tournaments,
right,
So and the thing about tournaments, I was I think okay, so this is 24, so that was 6 years ago. So I was 39 years old. I was 39 years old when I started playing them, and the kids were grown and they were out of the house.
right,
So I really didn't have to take it. I didn't have to worry about anybody but myself, and I wasn't playing outside my means either. I
right,
played, a lot of $400 tournaments, and if I didn't feel like it was a profitable spot, then I didn't play it. If I felt like it was too big, I didn't play it. So I kind of built up to where I could play. I could play, any tournament on circuit stop, but I don't. I don't chase that. I'm not trying to be rich tomorrow. I'm not trying to be retired tomorrow.
right.
If that makes sense. I think a lot of people get themselves in trouble, especially when they win a big one. The first thing they want to do is
Just
enter
play
every
bigger.
5K and 10K tournament they can buy into, and just crush your bankroll. You know,
And I
and
think that's wise words. And we in Spaces have talked about that on several occasions. That and Ari Engel, I think, was probably some wise words as well as what you're telling us. Was he plays at the buying levels that he's at because he crushes them. So why change what he's doing that's working? Because right away, like you said, people want to move up in stakes because they've binked one. And now they think they have to play bigger tournaments. Why?
yeah, yeah, they think they have to get all the money tomorrow, and that's just the way it is. And then overestimating your own ability is uh, is a big deal. I feel comfortable competing in any sub 2,500 tournament there is. I feel comfortable. I feel like I could compete at all those levels.
Right.
And then you see people enter in 5Ks. I don't know if you played a 5K at a WSOP, like 5K six maxes. That might
I
be as tough of a tournament as you could possibly ask for,
the highest
and
I've played is 1,500 personally.
yeah, and that's why the circuit stops do so well. I mean, I think the circuit stops bring in all those guys, especially locals, the people that's been saving up all year for those circuit stops. And they're
Right.
within their bankroll. They're not leaving the state. They're not out there. Most of them's not hitting tournament after tournament. I mean, yeah, you're going to see Ari at every one of them. You know, but you're going to have your occasional circuit grinders, but you're just not going to run into them very often. And most people save up all year for these tournaments.
100%. I could not agree with
So
you more.
yeah, but
All
I
right.
think go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say just staying in your range, staying in your lane, knowing. I think I don't want to quote who it was because it just stuck to me, and I'm not sure that's who it was. But he said, "Find a game you can beat and crush it." you know
I
and
agree with that.
that's always rang true to me. And if you feel like you go in there and you're never going to sit down at a table where you're just scared, because I think if you don't exude confidence at a table, you don't have to be cocky, but take Ari, the nicest guy in the world, right? Him and Josh Riker, nicest guys ever. They put off such a sense of confidence every single play they make, and you as a player, you will feel that. And if you don't feel that, if you don't exude that confidence when you're playing, you're just never going to win.
I love that advice. I love those words. I could not agree with you more. And I think every person listening in this space, and there may be some that are not poker players, but those that are poker players, um, probably every one of us agree with those words, because we've all seen it. We've all been at a table and somebody walks in and they're very confident, and you're like, wow, they must be good. Why? Because they're
Yeah,
confident, right? You know
yeah.
nothing
I've
about
I've
them, but
seen some.
they're
I've
confident.
I've seen some, and I don't want to say bad players because I don't like to put people in categories, but I've seen some people that I thought were lesser talent that just 100% believed in themselves, and they won tournaments, and people's like, well, how did he ever win? Yeah, because he believes that he was supposed to win. He believed the whole way he was supposed to win. You know,
That,
and if you
love
if you
that.
try to bluff without confidence, you're going to get sniffed out almost every time.
Agree. Agree. I love that. I hope everybody really heard that, even the ones in the back row. You know what? It goes back to sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. So fake that confidence, even if you are a little nervous that day. Don't let them see you sweat, as that old commercial was back in the day. Never let them see you sweat. All right. Let me ask you this. What tools do you use now or in the past for studying the game of poker?
This is where I really come up short. I don't really study. Um, I have. I'm more of a. I guess how you always have that teacher in school that says something the way that you just get it.
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
Okay. So I have a friend that travels with me, and I always say he's the he's the best unknown player in my opinion, in the world. That I know personally, he's the best unknown player. He's so talented, and he's a local here, and he travels with me, and he has a way of, if I hit a spot, and I'll say, I'm not sure. What do you think about this? And I'm not telling him bad beats. It's always strategy questions, whatever.
Right.
And I'll say something to him, and he has a way of explaining it to me where I'll just get it, and that's what it is. And when I won the bracelet, I told him that I said, there's no way I could have ever done this if I didn't know you.
Oh, that's
you
awesome.
know. But yeah, he's the best kept secret in poker, and I think he's super humble. He's really, really humble, and I think he would hate if I said his name. So I've got to just keep that quiet.
Well, when I see you at a tournament, I'm gonna spy from a distance and see if I can't figure out who it is.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
so I
Well,
can pick his brain.
when when he gets his due, I'll be sure to say, "Hey, that was him." And
Well,
I'll message you and I'll tell you that was him.
that's awesome. And then
So
I want you to send him our way for an interview so we can listen to his wise words right from him as well.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, as far as the other studying and stuff like that, it's not that I haven't done the occasional upswing quiz, you
Yeah.
know, that pops up on Twitter and stuff like this. But
What about those old GTO charts and the GTO wizard and the GTO?
I do no GTO, and I'm not playing against GTO people.
Right?
Okay, so most of the people you play with are not GTO people.
100%.
So why, it's a good baseline to know this stuff. Uh, but most of the time, you just got to look at the guy in the face and say, hey, does he have it here? Does he not have it here? Will he fold to a raise? And why would he ever bet that card? You know? So it's just more of, I hate to say feel because I,
I'd
because my buddy,
stay
I
in the
am
moment.
I am a little bit more studied than just feel. But
Well, you have the seat time. You have the live seat time. I consider that the best studying ever.
yeah,
But I also think that you're in the moment. Like you're in the moment, focused on everything at that table. And I think that brings you so much value.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think anyone
Well,
would argue.
I used to say, if you're scared, bet. If you're really scared, bet more. you know. So yeah, you're like, hey, this hand's garbage, but how often does he have it here? Let's just put it in and hope it's not this time. And I think a lot of people cling to their tournament life to the point where they're just they're just man cashing their life away if and they're just never going to survive without taking all those risks. Now that's obviously that's out there, that's been out there, but I'm not what I would say a smart guy. I'm a two-time high school dropout. So yeah, I think my last year in the yearbook, I was pitcher with the faculty. So so I'm not a smart guy, but I always say I make it up for being aggressive. And
Good for
yeah,
you, Ronnie.
yeah,
Good
that's
for
it.
you.
I found my way.
Good
And
for you. It's perseverance. Good for you, bud. That's
so
that is so awesome. Like it's also mind blowing, right? Because you're like you struggled early in life and you battled through it and found the way and you look at how humble you are. And it's so refreshing to be talking to you and you being humble because we all know we see a lot of poker players that are not humble. They're just so full of themselves and it gets annoying, right? And so good for you. You're everything that's right with poker, Ronnie. I'm just going to say it.
uh, well, thank you. I think you're aiming a little high, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
Well, I'm just going by what I see and hear. So there's something I like to do called rapid fire. I'm going to give you two choices. You got to pick one, but you can always pass. Are you game?
Okay. All right. All right.
All right. Chevy or Ford?
Chevy,
Bengals or Browns?
Browns,
Burgers or pizza?
pizza,
Do the dishes or do the cooking?
do the dishes,
The Reds or the Indians?
Reds,
Phone calls or text messages?
phone calls.
Thank you for playing. Appreciate that. I would have to. I want to ask you if you're going to go to the WPT in December.
Yeah, yeah. So I had, yeah, I went last year, and I don't think I'll ever miss that 1100 buy-in again. That was the best. Of course, it's ran phenomenal,
It really is. It
and
really is.
and you will never see that kind of odds on your money for $1,100. Now, I went last year for the 1100, and I came back. I put I had 7 bullets in it and didn't do no good. So I came back. I said, "Yeah, I'm not going to fire this 10K." And I get back, and Chance Corneth is buying horses. Well,
Nice.
I don't sell.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so but I'm he was buying horses. He's got thousands of people trying to get staked, right?
Of course.
And I message him, and he messages me back, and he says, "Hey, I want. Are you firing the Maine?" I said, "Nah, I'm back in Ohio. I'm probably not firing it." And I said, he's like, "Well, I want to buy 10%." I said, and in my opinion, Chance is the best.
He's
To,
so
to
good.
me right now, he is just the best. And I haven't had a chance of playing with him. And he says, let me get 10% of your action. And if you run deep, I'll be on your rail. And I told my wife, I said, Chance Corneth wants to buy 10% of me. She says, "No way." I said, "Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?" I said, "And he's going to be in my rail if I run deep. If he spots anything, against any of the other players, whatever." I said, "This
Right.
is a great opportunity."
Hell yes.
And I said, "I think I'm going to fly back out." So I fly back out. Finally got the meeting, and sure enough, I got a loaded table. I was unfortunate, and I only fired 1 bullet at it, and that was that. But yeah, I put that up on my highlight reels where Chance bought 10% of me.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
love that. And you're absolutely right. The Win and the WPT partnership to do that series in December is unmatched by any other series as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
Um, they just do such a great job from the players' party to just what they're offering as far as guarantees. And the staff is great. And, the Win is amazing. And, it's awesome. Yeah,
yeah. If only every tournament was ran by the Win. So I mean, that's the reason why all the best players play there. It's because they do it better than anybody. They always have the best dealers. They have the yeah, just the best staff, and you hear no complaints from anybody about the Win.
100%. 100%. Okay, I'm going to go around the horn and give, first of all, anyone in the audience, if you'd like to come up and ask Ronnie a question or make comments, click on that request button in the bottom left. I'm going to go around the horn to those that have a microphone currently to see if they have any more questions or comments before we let Ronnie go. And I don't know if Donna, I think she may have dozed off. It's like 1 in the morning in the UK where she's at. So we don't hold it against her when she dozes off on us by no means. Donna, are you there? I'm going to give you one last chance. Donna? Nope, she is not.
She showed up as listener on mine.
Oh, okay. See, she's still a co-host on mine, so no worries. Um, I'm going to let John Robertson questions or comments.
No questions. Just thanks for coming up and talking tonight. I look forward to seeing you again. I'll probably try and make it down to Cincinnati for one of the 400 for Saturdays. Those are great tournaments, and appreciate your time tonight, man. It's fun to watch you play.
All right, thanks, John.
Miss Karen Chess, go ahead.
Well, Ronnie, I enjoyed hearing more about how your start in poker and hearing all your stories. And so hopefully I'll run into you in Cherokee. Are you going to go in when is it? Early December?
November.
Oh,
I
November. Okay.
to tell you the truth, with the hurricane, I haven't got to talk to anybody over there on how bad the Cherokee side got hit. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, Cherokee did not get hit, to my understanding. Uh, but the thing you do want to check out is the roads, because there is a section of I-40 that's going to be shut down probably for a year before it's fixed. And it's from Asheville to, I want to say Pigeon Forge, somewhere in that stretch, but you
Oh,
can cut through the national park. So, but you definitely just want to check the roads, make sure the
okay.
roads on your path are open.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good thing.
yeah. I'm probably either going to be there or South Florida, but yeah, I'll check out the roads. If the roads are good, I'll probably end up there. So
Awesome.
Well, good luck in your future tournaments. I love to follow your progress on X. And you've been really crushing it.
thank you, Karen. You're such a sweetheart.
I just did have a thought of something. How was the Moneymaker series at Cincinnati recently?
What do you mean?
Didn't the Moneymaker series just come back and like have a few tournaments, or is that not happened yet?
No, no, it just happened. Yeah, it was a good series. They lowered all their guarantees, which I wasn't crazy about, but I like Tony Burns a lot, and of course Omar and Lefty, all great guys. So yeah, I look forward to them coming. I hope they never stop coming to Cincinnati. So it was a good series, and it was a pretty solid series for me. Wish I could have closed out the main event, but
It's
that,
it's just a bad
it's
time
always
for
a what
me.
if. Yeah. Oh, it's a bad time for you,
Well,
September is?
well, that's like always football season, and I always have to help at the school with football. So
Oh, got you.
I want to make it every year, and they always schedule it right. So I was just curious if it was good. I'll try. I'm gonna try and make it down at some point, but
I mean, we need to get more series like that here in Ohio. The last one we had in Columbus was at the Heartland, and back in 2019. And I think they're bringing back. What I heard is MSPT is going to be up there at Hollywood, so maybe you could check that one out.
Oh, I just did a, screenshot of that. Let me see if I could find the dates for you real quick. They're going to be at Firekeepers this coming from October 10th through the 13th is the only one I know. That's at
Yeah,
Firekeepers in
yeah,
Beaver
I'll be
Creek.
at that one. Yeah, I'll be there for that one. Yeah, that to me, that's the can't miss tournament. Uh, you got, I think there's two can't miss 1100 buy-ins, and that's the win which we talked about, and the other one is the Firekeepers in May. But
Awesome.
this one's going to be good. It's not going to be as good as May because you're in the springtime and everybody still has all their money, you
Right,
know.
right.
So, but it's still going to be 300K for first.
That's awesome. That
Yeah.
you can't be mad at that for sure. Listen, I want to give a little shout out to Best Bet is holding a Savage Average tournament tomorrow at noon at the Monument location. If you haven't had a chance to play that new tournament, um, what do you call it? Tournament structure that Matt Savage came up with. Now's your chance. It's going to be at Best Bet in Florida, in Jacksonville at their Monument location, 12 noon tomorrow. I highly recommend it. I got to play one of those tournaments back in the spring and I loved it. Um, unless anybody else has any questions, we're going to let you off the hook, Ronnie. I so appreciate your time and your willingness to answer our questions and share your knowledge with us. And I wish you luck in day 2 of your favorite PLO tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. I need all the luck I could get in that 4 card stuff. So, but
I
thank you,
love
Darren.
it.
And thank you for having me on.
Well, we appreciate you, and we will send you some spaces. Run good, and hopefully we'll do this again after you have another great run, my friend.
Okay. Thank you, dear.
Thank you. And thank you to my listeners. And again, um, those that are here live and those that will listen to the replay, I appreciate all of you. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.